Time for Business Now, and coming up in this edition, government moves ahead to sell Malawi Savings Bank. Economic development through value addition on locally available resources. How is OVO faring? Would it be true that laziness is our biggest challenge to national development? Welcome to another edition of Business Now, and my name is Daniel Mawawa. Now to our first item of the program. The battle on the sale of the Malawi Savings Bank seems far from over. Most people seem to be commenting on the matter based on different reports flying around. In Parliament, opposition members of the House say government needs to tread carefully on the deal, and specifically they have indicated that if government does not do that, they will not support the budget to be presented in the House. But for the opposition parties, should we say this is an economical or political battle?
I can assure you that this matter is not political. It is an economical matter because, as you are aware, government has just taken 6 billion from taxpayers without parliamentary approval to pay on behalf of rich people. We have a list of 12 borrowers from our savings bank who defaulted, and government has hived off their loans. In other words, government has made Malawian taxpayers to pay on behalf of these rich people, and that's economical. It's not political. We also have information that FGH wants to buy the bank at 4.6 billion, when we know that the total assets of the bank are in excess of 60 billion. And that doesn't make sense. It's actually a daylight robbery. So that's not political, that's economical.
Well, others believe that maybe government should have considered changing management at the bank as an alternative to disposing it off. However, economic experts feel the stand taken by government to find an equity partner to recapitalize the bank is the best way to go, since under the 100% ownership of government, the bank has been subjected to abuse.
The issues surrounding Malawi Savings Bank and its need for recapitalization has nothing to do with the current management or any other management that would have been in place on the bank at any given time. This is a requirement under Basel II, where banks must have a certain minimum capitalization for them to actually perform in the financial sector in this country. So I think we should separate the issues of management issues and issues that have to do with the policy environment within which the bank is operating. The second thing that must be appreciated is that selling the bank, or rather maybe let's use the right word, what is happening here is not that the bank is being sold, but government is looking for an equity partner to come into the bank and invest into the bank. And I think this is a good decision. It's something that must be supported for a number of reasons. Number one, history has shown us that leaving this bank purely in the hands of government has exposed the bank to a lot of abuse by those that are in leadership, and that has actually led to the bank accumulating so much toxic assets at this particular point in time. So we should see this as a positive move where government would like to engage and to get private sector involved in running some of its core businesses, and in this case we are talking about a financial institution, Malawi Savings Bank.
Speaking on the matter, Minister of Finance Gudo Gondwe says whatever people are saying about the bank, they are speaking not from facts, and that soon he himself will come out with facts on the matter, adding that the process to sell the bank was transparent and that there is nothing like favoritism.
We intend to proceed in a very amicable way. There has been some concerns in the House about the process of selling the Malawi Savings Bank. We would like, now that the injunction has been lifted, to speak and give facts, because a number of people that are commenting from not from facts. We would like to give them facts. We would like to give the public facts. We would like to have everybody know exactly what is happening. Because some people have accused the government that we are bailing out toxic assets. Can never be the case. It will not be like that. We'll explain the facts to our colleagues, and we will see what they will say after the facts are plainly known. A number of people think that the Mutharika government decided this. This is not so. It was decided much earlier. As a matter of fact, even during the Muruzi era, questions of whether this bank should be privatized was discussed. And we will inform our colleagues the reasons why this is so. Some of them are confidential. I can't divulge here. But we think that after the facts are known, a number of people who are holding very, very opposed ideas will review their positions.
Well, recently, the opposition Malawi Congress Party accused the DPP-led government for favoring FGH Bank, whose CEO comes from the same region as the president, and added that he also sits in the Public Service Reform Committee. All right, and that being the case, if FGH met the bid requirements, shouldn't they be given a chance to get MSB under their wings? Looking closely at some of the reasons given for government not to sell the bank, should we say that those in opposition are simply against the sale because of the buyer? Is it a political battle or an economic battle, or it is a battle against what others have termed an elitist tribe that is running this country?
Even if it were anybody from anywhere, but looking at the transaction itself, it leaves a lot to be desired. That's why people are frowning on it. So it's not about who is involved, but it's about the substance of the transaction.
So if somebody competes and gives some very, very attractive price, as well as agrees to a number of things that we want done, do we reject it and then because it's only one who did it? Is that what you think that we should do? I don't think so. We think that the process was followed very, very, very meticulously. A number of people, various institutions, were brought into it to look at the bids, and they decided that the bid that was made by FGH was a very good one.
I think as Malawians, we don't need to be sensational when we are looking at issues of national importance. And my view is that the whole process was very transparent. Actually, let me mention that it was not only Malawi Savings Bank. There were two banks, Malawi Savings Bank and you are talking about Inde Bank. Bidders were invited at the same time. The process involved two banks. For some reason, many people didn't, or nobody wanted to invest in Malawi Savings Bank, obviously probably because of its financial position, but there were a lot of bidders that showed interest for Inde Bank. So the question of who is probably behind the bank that is interested to buy Malawi Savings Bank, I think that shouldn't, in my view, come into question because you are talking about a Malawian financial institution that has demonstrated capability to manage a bank. They are running another bank, FGH Bank, which was only set up some 6-7 years ago, and the bank has actually managed to grow and demonstrate its capability to perform in this environment. So it's really a fair process in my view.
Well, at the end of it all, we all hope that only Malawians and only Malawians will be the winners in this battle, whether the bank is sold or not. Now let's move on to something different. There is a saying that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It seems most Malawians, mainly in the SME sector, haven't yet come to realize their strength which is there in group work so as to maximize productivity. Much as it is so, One Village, One Product is a project which was introduced some 10 years ago to help achieve economic development through value adding to locally available resources through processing, quality control, packaging, design and marketing promotion through cooperatives.
Most of these products are made locally by local Malawians using locally available resources across the country. In this shop, you find products you'd hardly find in other shops in Malawi. These include Masao wine, banana wine, baobab oil, kondole, that is cassava flour, and the red palm oil, among others. Much as they haven't found larger markets, these are products that have been produced through collective efforts by various farmers and small-scale businesses who come together to achieve the desired goal. But how has the production of such products been made possible? These are some of the fruits of the One Village, One Product, a project that has been running for 10 years. This is a project that the government of Malawi runs in partnership with the Japanese government. But how is the program faring so far since its inception? And are there any good stories from the locals participating?
OVOP has fared fairly well, considering that this is a new concept which we have had to adopt as a country. So I can say we have fared fairly well. The people who have adopted the concept, they're quite happy because, as you may be aware, OVOP we basically focus on adding value to locally available raw materials. So in adding value, you're actually increasing the monetary value of your product. So for those who have embraced the concept, they're quite happy.
Some of the products produced under this initiative have seen their way into Japan. But where else have they been exported to, and how has been the response from local consumers? Is the local market showing any interest in the products?
We are exporting in small quantities, mostly baobab jam, baobab oil, honey, and mostly this is to Japan. We have not concentrated much on the export market because our view is that our products should be accepted locally before we start focusing more on the export. So our focus at the moment has been on the local market. We want our products to be accepted locally before we can start spending a lot of effort on looking for export markets. In terms of the response, I would say it's quite mixed. As you are aware that consumers are normally animals of habit, so people get used to a particular product and normally they just don't jump and pick a new product. But for those that have tested our products, they come back and the reviews that we get is that people are happy with our products. Because our products, most of them are actually natural with very few, if any, additives. So in terms of the food products, they are natural products.
Most small businesses in Malawi are run on individual basis. Should we then conclude that that could be the reason why we have a standard SME sector? Well, the OVOP coordinator believes that if small and medium enterprises worked in groups, it would make things simpler to run their businesses, since finding markets and having capacity to meet the demand in terms of supply wouldn't be much of a challenge.
There is a saying that says there is strength in numbers. Because when you're doing things on your own, oftentimes you face challenges of bargaining for prices, even being able to satisfy the market. But when you are in a group, you are able to pool your resources and bargain for better prices. as a result, you benefit from economies of scale. I would say that as a country, really, if we adopted the OVOP way of doing things, it doesn't matter whatever name we call it, because in OVOP we're talking about value addition. There is a need to add value to our raw materials, most of which are agriculture. In adding value, you are involved in either grading or processing. You are increasing the monetary value of the raw material. Maybe there is a misconception that if I work alone, I will benefit more, which unfortunately is not true, because when you are in a group, you are able to look for a bigger market, and even when as an individual you may not be able to supply, the other members of the group are able to supply. But when we work as individuals, when you have a problem, it means that you lose that market. Unfortunately, as Malawians, we seem to not be that comfortable to be working in groups.
Well, finally, let's talk about hard work. It seems we are not much of a hard-working nation. Well, someone suggests so. We are a nation full and rich with resources that would turn our economy around if we were to put our thoughts into action. But it's like we are always waiting for someone who never comes. Who should we say we all wait for? Is it the government? As a nation, is it that we lack capacity, or we are just a lazy nation?
In any country in the world, there are obstacles. There is no point in time that you can overcome all obstacles to investing. But at the same time, we need to rise up and take these opportunities. You see, I would actually say that the money issues, yes, cost of money is high, but I believe Malawi offers a lot of opportunities. Let me give you an example. This year we are reading that there will be, production will go down of most of our crops because of the rain situation. But at the same time, Malawi has great potential to go into irrigation farming. And I believe as a nation, if we all commit to irrigate, to do some commercial farming, I think the nation will be somewhere. I can give you an example of Botswana. Botswana exports a lot of beef to Europe. And most of that beef is produced by smallholder farmers, what they call cattle post, at a village level, where people agree that all the villagers will keep livestock. And you see that most of what they export does not come from big farms. It is produced by people at village level. But there is commitment to get a little dirty at times, to go to the village during the weekend. Most of us Malawians love to stay in towns. We talk of irrigation, we talk of value addition. There's a lot of technology that we can import from China. Instead of importing clothes, we can import technologies in food processing. But who is doing that? These are all opportunities. Investors would want to find us educated, committed, hardworking. Malawi used to be known as a very hardworking nation. As MITC, our cry is that to see Malawi maintaining that, having a disciplined labor force that would produce. When we say Malawi should move from being a consuming and importing to export, to producing and exporting, there is a lot of work that we need to do. All of us, we need to hold hands together and develop our nation. These opportunities that we see, enormous opportunities, are for us to grab and develop.
Well, hope we got something from there. We need to go back to the days when we were hardworking, disciplined, and good time managers. That's what we call serious business. And well, that is all from me. My name is Daniel Malala. See you next time. Bye-bye.